I'm heard that there's somebody in the State Department, Wendy was just telling me, that said the problem with ISIS is they need jobs. Can you believe it? How stupid can you get? Well, it's a deadly threat to America and the world. But the Obama administration will not speak its name. It's radical Islam. And not even at a White House summit on terrorism will it be named.
That summit is happening now, and critics are urging the president to face the facts about Islamic terrorism. Gary Lane has the story.
The summit convenes just days after the gruesome beheading of 21 Egyptian Christians in Libya, and at a time when the Islamic State's reign of terror is spreading. An unconfirmed report from the BBC suggests ISIS fighters burned 45 people to death in the Iraqi town of al-Baghdadi, a city that was captured by the Islamic State last week. The town is near an airbase where American Marines are stationed. Obama administration critics are concerned about the summit and the administration's response to the ISIS crisis. They say the president has refused to call ISIS what it really is, an Islamic terrorist organization motivated by the Quran and bent on killing Christians, Jews, and others. Also, there is criticism of summit word choices. Instead of calling it a summit on Islamic terror, the administration said the summit's focus is on countering violent extremism. State Department Deputy Spokesman Marie Harf was ridiculed after she made this statement on MSNBC.
We cannot kill our way out of this war. We need, in the longer term, medium and longer term, to go after the root causes that leads people to join these groups, whether it's lack of opportunity for jobs.
And several Republicans on Capitol Hill have expressed concern over the president's Middle East immigration policy. The president plans to allow thousands of Syrian refugees into the country. Members of the Homeland Security Committee say that raises serious security concerns because many of the Syrians allowed in could be terrorists. They say the government lacks the resources to fully investigate the background of Syrian refugees. Meanwhile, the FBI continues to investigate the possible identity of this masked ISIS leader. He appeared in the Egyptian Christian beheading video.
Today, we're on the south of Rome.
Intelligence officials are analyzing his face and speech patterns. His accent would suggest that he's from North America.
He says south instead of south, so he's not from Canada.
All praise is due to Allah.
I think he sounds pretty American.
Just one of thousands of Westerners and others who have now joined ISIS in the reign of global terror. Gary Lane, CBN News.
I'm appalled, ladies and gentlemen. It has to be. We have a president who really doesn't like this country. He doesn't want us to be exceptional. He doesn't want us to lead the world. He wants to lead from behind. He's dithered and dallied on so many issues, and it's always he's coming in too late. You know, the crisis arises in Iran, for example. We could have taken a bold stand and really helped the freedom movement. He doesn't say a word until later on. He doesn't say anything about what's going on in Syria till it's too late. Same thing with all these crises, and then to have a person say, well, what they need is jobs. I mean, how stupid can you get? But we're inflicted with this thing, and we've got to make the best of it. Well, in just a few minutes, we'll talk to our Middle East bureau chief about the threat from ISIS and the persecution of Christians in that area. But first, France is trying to track down members of terrorist sleeper cells. Ephraim Graham has that story from the CBN newsroom. Here's Ephraim.
Pat, the country's top security official says 400 suspects have been identified. One of the main concerns for authorities is how to prevent disgruntled criminals or disaffected citizens from being radicalized. At least 2 of the men involved in the Charlie Hebdo terror attack are believed to have been radicalized in jail, as well as the man behind the Copenhagen shootings last weekend. France wants new measures to give intelligence services more leeway to monitor suspects' electronic communications. Stocks are hitting new record highs on Wall Street, with the Standard & Poor's 500 closing above 2,100 for the first time Tuesday. And the Dow Industrials finished just 6 points under its all-time high of 18,054. The Nasdaq is also closing in on the 5,000 level, which it hasn't seen since the dot-com tech boom in 2000. Although some analysts worry the market could turn down soon, many are still very optimistic and look for the market to keep hitting new highs in the months ahead. Pat, any predictions?
Well, it's like the party on the Lusitania just before it hit the iceberg. I just don't understand what's going on. We've got this insurmountable debt. We've got a profligate federal government. We've got slowdown in Europe and in China. I'm with Gary Schilling, who's been talking about deflation, and I think we're going into deflation. What that does to the stock market, I don't know, but I think the earnings of the American corporations is not going to be robust too much longer. And the stock market really is supposed to work off of earnings. And the QE2, the federal stimulus of the Federal Reserve Board, has been terminated. So that flood of money that's been supporting the stock market isn't going to be there anymore. So I wouldn't think the stocks are going to keep going, but it's irrational. I don't understand it. Irrational exuberance. And hey, if the party's going on, don't take away the punch bowl. Emma?
Well, Pat, it is the winter that just won't quit. In Boston, nearly 8 feet of snow has fallen so far, and more is predicted at the end of the week. The snow is so deep in some areas, residents were making videos of themselves jumping out of windows into the snow and posting them online. Boston Mayor Marty Walsh told people to stop it, warning them they could kill themselves. In places like Manchester, New Hampshire, gas stations are literally out of fuel after back-to-back storms have prevented barges from getting into the ports. In the South, temperatures have plunged into the teens, following up to a foot of snow in some places. Now the concern is freezing and refreezing snow and ice over the next few days. Widespread power outages are also an issue in many states. The NBA All-Star Weekend game is over, but the events are still going throughout the week in New York City. Angela Zatopek talked to some All-Star players and faith leaders about their All-Star efforts to strengthen families.
Well, the entire NBA universe has descended upon New York City, and that can only mean one thing. It's NBA All-Star Weekend. Former Knicks player and two-time All-Star athlete Allen Houston has teamed up with other players off the court to throw the first annual Family All-Star Jam. The Allen Houston Foundation paired up with the Soul Exchange Sneaker Show, sharing an important message for today's youth and their families.
We really want to do something fun where we brought families and kids together. The goal is to really make, a purposeful day fun.
Incorporating a DJ, basketball demos, and other NBA players, Houston wanted to design an interactive approach to teach his foundation's message.
We just came up with continue to do programs and basketball camps, and one day, FIZZLE, the acronym of Faith, Integrity, Sacrifice, Leadership, and Legacy, just came to my mind, and we developed a curriculum around it. Now we're doing these events around it.
If we really want to be relevant to this culture and to society, we're going to have to speak the word of the Lord in a way that is not offensive and doesn't shut them off from receiving it. What better way than to throw a whole bunch of sneakers in the room, some of your best music, and an all-star, and then have me as MC, because I'm crazy. Houston hopes that the foundation and tonight's event can help inspire the youth on connecting with their families, specifically fathers and their children. He brought his own father tonight that actually taught him how to walk on a basketball court. For years, my father and I have talked about just having the importance of legacy, with having young men and women have an important male figure in their lives, and fathers, how, we just feel like there's a void. We are dealing with an epidemic of fatherless homes, and so we're turning everywhere else for people to be fathered. People are turning everywhere else. So we're looking to music, we're looking to rap stars, we're looking to athletes. The whole idea of this event tonight is to push men to take responsibility, head towards commitment, be faithful, and be who God created them to be, which is faithful men. Today was a seed, We won't see the fruit of this for a while, but we did our part, and that's how I feel. All-Star events are continuing throughout the week here in New York City. For more information on Allen Houston's foundation, visit cbnnews.com. I'm Angela Zatopek, CBN News, New York City.
Faith in action. Pat?
I'm congratulated. It's so wonderful. Here's so many bad things about athletes beating up their girlfriends and doing all this stuff. And to see these guys trying to help the needy and showing the kids a better way, it's wonderful to see it, because these young people are looking for role models. And we're going to get a guy later on that he had an alcoholic stepfather, and that was his role model, and he got in a lot of trouble. So congratulations to these athletes.
All it takes is just a few rounds of moderate exercise each week to help your heart. A British study that tracked more than 1 million women found that moderate exercise, enough to make yourself sweat or raise your heart rate, could cut a middle-aged woman's risk for heart disease, blood clots, and stroke. One expert in the U.S. told Health Day News it doesn't take the commitment of an athlete. Just 2 to 3 times a week is enough to help protect the heart. We've all been through the drive-thru in search of that fast food fix. Well, now one Ohio church is offering a drive-thru faith fix, but for one day only, today, which is Ash Wednesday. Clergy at Advent Evangelical Lutheran Church near Columbus are offering drive-by ash service. A reverend at the church says congregants have been supportive of receiving the drive-by ashes on their foreheads. He tells the Columbus Dispatch it could be a first step back for some people who haven't been to church in a few years. Remember, you can always get the latest from CBN News by going to our website at cbnnews.com.